But I ask you if you have a is it pen? Do they have pens? Quill? Do you by chance have a feather? Whatever we use.
I'm looking. I don't think I do, actually.
Well, then I'd look around because my sister must have something. She writes in the
Yeah.
There's some writing implements in the desk. It's easy enough.
Yeah, I don't, but...
So, Grail, you're a little sister. You probably have an opinion on what I'm about to do. How wrong is it? And I start writing in the diary.
I kind of hesitate for a second, and then I say, I think she'll understand, and I think she'll be happier than upset to know that you were here looking for her. I do think that.
Well, I hope so. So I start writing, basically, like, Cora, like, it's me, I'm alive. First of all, very sorry for reading your diary. I promise, for whatever it's worth, I only read the most recent entry. And, you know, I'm fine. I'm alive. I'm doing well. I'm traveling with I'm just going to give the details because honestly, my father probably knows all of it anyways. Just talking about the Conatus, how it's a very important mission. It's going to benefit the future of our continent. I'm also working on getting back to her. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to reach out sooner, but it's really complicated. But just know that I'm still fighting to like return to her and help her. And, you know, thinking of her, hope that we get to reunite soon after all this strife is over. I know she's on a trip, so I wouldn't put, like, how to find me, because we won't be there by the time my dad gets back. But, okay, Chris, this is going to be a little complicated. Based on what I know about the people that we know, what would make the most sense if she wanted to, like, get word out to me? Would it be trying to work through the guild in Cavis, or like trying to get a message to wherever we left the girl with the really powerful Duchess
Harnstead.
In Harnstead? Like, what would be the most?
This sounds like a question for you. Not
Yeah, I
for
was to
me.
say I mean, you guys have created some different relationships over the first couple of weeks of this journey. There's no long-term Crusader presence in Timberbrook, so there's no like Crusade base there where you can go like, hey, you know, get this to Cavis. So it's up to you. That could be like Lorene, it could be Grail's family, it could be all sorts of folks. It's kind of up to how you think it might be best to have her go about it.
I mean, you could send stuff to Tessian's family. Like, you could literally go anywhere you wanted to with this.
I might even say, like, I actually might tell her, like, disguise this as some kind of like diplomatic message, so it's less maybe suspicious, because there's almost a part of me that thinks my father would be reading any mail going out of the house, but maybe if it's like for a diplomatic reason, it's less suspicious. Sent to the Blacks family in Black Harbor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And I would just write that in as, you know, you can trust them. And that's a way to get word to me. And if you can, please do it, because I do want to hear from her. And, you know, love always. I'm doing my best to do good for our family and to repair what we've broken. And sign off. Put it back where I found it.
Okay. Takes a few minutes to go through that, but
It takes a couple hours, actually.
yeah, I know. The sun has set, and
Yeah. So I say, well, there's that. I do have one more order of business while we're here. And
Might as well.
And how do I get to my father's study? Is it only through the elevator? Is it like one of those ones where like those like condos in Chicago where it's only accessible through the elevator?
you know that is the main way that anybody would use. There is an emergency staircase in case the elevator were to break, or, you know, it's a fire code violation not to have a backup staircase. But the elevator is certainly the primary means. There is also the staircase that you can get access to.
But so, based on what I know, my father's study being like probably, I would imagine, somewhat important, would I assume naturally that there are guards there? Were there guards in the past?
There were not guards in the past, but you do know that he had installed some kind of technology to prevent others from entering. Let me think about the timing of this here. Yeah, you would have still been there. There is some kind of scanner that he uses on the exterior to identify it as himself that prevents anybody else from opening the door to his study.
I have an idea, though. As I explain all this, it's like that voiceovers in Ant-Man, explaining all
or Burn
this stuff
Notice.
as it's happening. Yeah.
When you're a spy.
So I want to go to the elevator and I want to open the emergency hatch at the top.
Okay.
And I want to tell Grail, basically, we're going to climb. And what I think is going to happen, based on what I remember, is if we get to the top, we should be able to pry the door open. I don't believe the scanner technically works because we're not entering from the elevator. Does that make sense?
The elevator goes up separately from... Like, the elevator shaft's not connected to his study.
Is it connected to what,
Like
then?
It comes up to his floor, where it's basically entirely Faust's floor, and then there's a hallway, and in front of the door across the hallway into the main part of his study is where the handprint scanner is.
So there's no point, really, in going up the elevator because we can probably just go up the stairs.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to forget all that.
Yeah, it's not like it doesn't like it's not the hand scanner is not in the elevator to where like he has to go in the elevator and only he can get access to that floor. You can go up to the floor, so the kids when they were younger could go up to his floor and knock on the door to see if he actually wanted to pay attention to them.
And the answer was no.
And
But
the answer was usually no.
Depends on what he made the walls out of,
That's true.
You can just
Tungsten.
boom.
But yeah, you know that climbing up the elevator, while it might be fun, is probably not going to be a useful endeavor. So you could just take the stairs.
Okay, I'll just take the stairs.
Yeah, I want to take a look at this mechanism. I do have in my Thieves' Tools potential ways of deactivating this thing.
Yeah, I'm going to look. That'd be so cool.
Okay.
And we get his prints in the study.
Once you access the study, then you can get his fingerprints to get into the study.
Yeah, what?
I'm sorry, his bedroom. His bedroom.
Yeah.
His floor.
Yeah. You guys head into the stairwell. It's just one more flight up. His room is basically, or his floor is basically above the others, and it comes out to where you can see where the elevators would come out, nearby the staircase as you pop up. And there is a hallway that has basically two sides to it. One that leads to the study with the handprint scanner outside, and you can see it from moving across the room, and the other that leads to a obnoxiously large double door.
Okay.
And there's no one in the hall.
No, a quick look around. Seems empty, barren.
I tell Grail, if all of our future heists are this easy, sign me up.
And don't count your chickens before they hatch, Isaac.
It's true. Very true. And as we go towards the double doors.
Okay. You make your way across, and while everything on the prior floor could certainly be described as like fine goods, the rugs, the paintings, the furniture was all top quality. It goes up another notch here. We're talking like very lush carpeting, and one of the paintings spans like 50 feet on the long side along the entire stretch of this hallway, and it seems to be of the castle in Waychester, and it's just all very opulent. The little commercial with the tiny giraffe, and there's that Russian guy who's like, the opulence, I have it. It's all of that. It's all very extravagant, very wasteful almost, because this is just the hallway. Like, who needs a hallway to be this goddamn nice? When you get up to the double doors, and I'm assuming try them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
They are also locked.
Well, Grail, you're up.
Ha! I am very glad that I accompanied you, Isaac.
I am too.
So much secrecy among rich people. All right, I'm gonna get them out.
Just is up to no good.
It's because of people like me.
You did
Ooh,
this.
I critted.
Oh my
as
God.
I mean, a bad crit. Bad crit.
You-
It won.
You got a 1.
Okay, critically
that's
failed. That's very
Failed.
different.
A bad crit.
Because it
set off
sounded
the alarm.
it sounded happy when she started. Like I crit, bad crit. Oh. A natural 1 now.
Yeah, it's not good.
The turrets come out of the walls.
I know.
I'm trying to decide which of these two things is more punitive, so I can go with the less one. This is fine. I'll do it this way. So with a natural 1, you go to fiddle with the locks on these double doors, and it feels difficult. Like all the tumblers are especially heavy, and this is a much sturdier and more stout lock than the one to Cora's room, which seemed very basic at its core. Cora.
Yeah.
This one seems a lot more complicated, and as you're fiddling with it, you also start to be concerned that when... No, you won't get this from a natural 1. As you're fiddling with it and trying to make headway on the lock to unlock it, the lockpick breaks.
Yeah, I figured that was going to happen. Okay.
Grail, I just heard something snap.
Yeah, you hear a...
And then I kind of like, I'm holding it in place and I'm looking at the lock and then I look at you and I say, remember what you just said a few seconds ago? Well, this has got a little bit more complicated. I just broke my pick.
So you have another pick, though, right? Like, a thief has, like, backups.
So, okay, let me look at what I have listed here. I have a set of lock picks. I might need to, I don't know if I can get it out of the actual lock.
Great. So he'll come home, and not only did we not get anything, he'll see that we were here trying to pick his door.
Just a second. I do have a set of narrow-bladed scissors that I can try to, like, get it out. This is going to be so hinky. I don't even know, but, like, I'm going to try.
Just like gouge marks all over this lock. He comes home. He goes to put his own key in it, and it's just like a disaster.
Yeah, the inside of the lock has been so altered the key doesn't even work anymore.
Well, I mean, we've come this far, so might as well.
Alright, I'm going to get my little scissors, and I'm going to try and, like, put them through to, like, pull it out. I also have some pliers that I might try with as well.
All right, make me a dexterity check.
Oh, dear fucking lord. Dexterity. Oh, there it is. Come on, no fail. 18.
I was going to say, I don't want to tell you how bad another natural 1's going to be. But I do kind of want to tell you. It takes the better part of like 10 minutes to dig around on the inside of this lock, and Isaac's kind of keeping watch as you do so before you can finally fiddle with this, because it's essentially like snapped off on the inside and it's at an angle, but with some really delicate movements that you're pretty good at. To be fair, you are able to eventually sort of bend it back to the point where you can finally extract it,
Okay.
leaving no trace of it behind.
So is that your
Okay.
only pick, or can we try again?
So, Chris, I will confer with you. I did say I have a set of lock picks. I think what may have happened is I used the wrong one, honestly.
I would say, and you should probably make a note of this, you had 5 and now have 4.
Okay. All right. And I will say I have more. I do have one that might be better situated for the sturdier lock.
Okay, no pressure, but
I'm sorry. Oh, God. All right. Let's try that again.
All right. Luckily,
Yep.
you're not on the clock, at least for now, so it's not
I
like I have to make you be
know.
rolling
Can't
these
get
with...
another one. There's no way.
That'd be insane.
Because if you were in a hurry...
Thank God.
if
I got
you-
another 18, everyone.
Okay, I was gonna say, if you were in a
Okay.
hurry, if there was some kind of pressing time element, you'd be making this check with disadvantage.
Yeah, this would suck a lot.
But for now, at least, nobody's been discovered, so...
I will make a note that I only have 4 lock picks.
An 18.
Yes.
So you get a little bit more of a sturdier lock pick for this job. And... fiddle with it for quite a while. It takes a couple minutes, and you're already feeling like, man, this is so much more complicated than the last one, even though I sort of feel like I should be on top of my game. And after you've done what feels like essentially 4 of the 6 tumblers, the thing that you start to realize, because that was a decent check, is this is set up in such a way that the mechanism is not going to return to the way it was if you continue all the way through it. Which is to say,
okay,
if you pick this lock,
he'll know.
it's not just going to be like, it's not just going to reset when you're done with it.
So
You can tell that just from kind of feeling it. Like when you're feeling these tumblers as you access them one by one, you feel like, wait a minute, if I push this one into place, like it's not. There's some part of the reason why there's so much resistance is essentially that not only is this a much sturdier lock, but because this is going to alter the lock permanently, and the check is good enough to at least give you this information without finding out the hard way. But this is not a run-of-the-mill lock. In fact, it feels like something you haven't really encountered in the short time that you've been working with these things. I know you've been doing it with your brother back in the day, but you don't have a ton of experience with this. This feels very different.
Yeah, and okay, so I pause again. I look up at Isaac, and I say, I think we might have another problem.
What? Did another one break?
No. I used the right lock this time, or lock pick this time. There's something about the mechanism here that is unlike anything I've ever tried to pick. I feel like if I try and move forward with these next few tumblers, there's something in the mechanism that will let him know, or in some way it will not be able to return back to its original form. I think your father might know that we were here, or
But
at
you'll
least
get it
somebody.
open.
Possibly.
Oh,
I can't-
go for it. I wanted to leave a calling card anyway. This might take care of that for us.
So is that what you were saying, Chris? Like, if it's more of like he would know as opposed to, or is it like something may happen to the lock once I move forward?
Both.
But like, so it'll, as far as she can tell, it'll open but be permanently damaged, so he'll know.
Well, I don't know if
Not
that's what
it'll be
Chris was
permanently
saying.
damaged, and it'll stay closed.
It'll be.
I don't know.
It'll be permanently damaged to the point where it'll be noticeable that entry was forced, and there may be something else connected to it. But
Oh.
you sure as hell don't know what else that is based on just a little lockpick and a lock.
Right. So I would tell you that I am not certain that we can just barge right in.
It could be that it is just going to break the lock and make it apparent that somebody went through. It could be there's something
Yes.
else connected to all of it.
I say go for it.
Are you sure?
Unless you want to try the hand scanner first and see if you have a way around it. Do you need something in the room to make the hand scanner possible?
I mean, I thought that was your idea. My thought was to just decommission the thing entirely and then put it back
Oh.
together when we were done.
Even better. Do you want
But
to take a look then?
it's just like sitting there after all this time. Oh God. Yes, I'm gonna leave the pick where it is and just go over there and look. It's just across the hall, right?
Yeah.
Or down the hall.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna do that then.
Okay.
Okay. You guys make your way back to the other side of the hallway, and we
And
check.
I'm my hands are sweating. I'm kind of like shaking them off. I'm kind of like rubbing them on my pants and just like, yeah. Something about this being an easy heist, huh?
Mom spaghetti. As you guys make your way across the hallway to the other side, we check back at the restaurant.
Fucking restaurant.
Yep.
We're on dessert now.
Yeah.
You can have anything you want. That's correct. You guys are sort of wrapping up the meal at this point, since that took some time as we flashed to the other side. All pretty damn good food. It's pretty easy to see why this place has established itself as the primary point of contact for all sorts of folk. And there are some folks who are dressed in fine garb here. It's just the vast majority of them seem to be more the worker type. But even the more like low-end options on the menu all seem to be pretty damn good. So it's a satisfying meal. And at one point, Karash goes up and goes to the table.
I will say that about halfway through, when it's becoming very obvious that Grail and Isaac are not returning, Tessian will order, like, whatever the equivalent is of what he last saw them eat. Like, that when we were in the tavern. Or if that's too much, just a sandwich, basically, for each of them.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
For some reason, I thought, like, I don't even know. I don't want to say it. Never mind. It's fine.
Like-
you can. You've observed them enough where you can get them something to go that they would probably both
You know, like
enjoy.
if she had like a club salad last time, he'll do that or
Yeah.
something. Like just whatever. And then he just wants to get like I don't know, whatever the doggy bag is, the fantasy doggy bag. You tell me. I don't know.
Sure. The waiter it can easily enough supply you with a couple of to-go cups and some styrofoam containers for
God, I don't even.
for to-go packaging. And you can check the app to see if your order's ready.
Like, just, sir, can I just have like a burlap sack? I'll just put them in here. That's fine.
and
Like,
just pour the beer into it.
just, I don't know. We have a bag of holding. It won't go bad in there, right? We just put it in there and it just sits in a dimensional space until we pull it out.
Yeah, you have to reach in and
Seems
pull
good.
out liquid.
I mean, it stay in the cup, right? I mean, it doesn't have orientation inside. Who knows? I don't know how this works.
I mean, you can test it.
I just imagine a mini fridge in there. You like reach in there and just like open up a can of soda or
There's
something.
a margarita maker.
But I mean, like, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
well, how does that work? If you poured like a margarita in the bag of holding, and you just reach in and you're like, margarita. Does it just like, how does it come
Yeah,
out?
it's all over your hand.
I thought you were gonna order the most lavish thing on the menu in spite of us.
No, that's not. No,
I'll take your most expensive item stuffed with your second most expensive item.
No, look, the liquids are in a thing. We just need something to like wrap, like just some parchment or whatever to wrap the other things with, and then we'll just put them in the bag of holding for now. It's fine.
And he is able to supply that pretty easily. It seems like a thing people around here commonly do, either because they only have so long of a lunch break, or because they get something like that has a lot of food and then get 2 meals out of it. So it is not an uncommon request. Let's put it that way.
Okay, good, because it's becoming evident that our little heisty pals are gonna need a meal.
But he does
a
alert the
Hi-
town guard. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't do
Hi, pals.
Also, how much is this all gonna run us? This whole meal?
that. When the time comes and you get the check,
Mhm.
with the drinks and all that, it ends up being 2 gold, 2 silver,
Whoo!
which is a little on the high side for a meal, but for 5 people, also really not that bad, especially
Yeah,
with
that's
drinks. So again, like it's not a cheap establishment by any means, but it's also not, you know. Sometimes you go to a fine dining establishment, even when they have like a hamburger, it's like $22 fucking dollars. It's not that.
Okay.
That's coming from a man who did pay $22 for a hamburger when he was in Chicago.
Oh God.
But that's why you don't dine at hotel restaurants.
Oh,
Okay.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 gold, 2 silver. Got that adjusted. I guess it's just whatever's happened with Karash. Otherwise, that's Tessian's just chatting with Lena about stuff.
And in my fantasy world, part of the base rates are included in the wages, so you just not need to leave a tip.
Ah,
God.
you know what? No, this guy gets a gold tip.
But it's not. It's certainly compulsive. Or compulsory. It is not mandatory.
I don't know. We might piss off this entire town. Let's at least make some allies. So this waiter gets a gold.
Okay, there you go.
I
Now,
tried
that's
to
the money
do
waste.
this in a sneaky way, Chris. But should our real life companions start on dinner yet?
Oh, was that were you like gesturing at me? Was that?
No, I was gonna. I had a lot of different plans. They didn't come to fruition.
They should be starting dinner around 15 minutes from
Perfect.
now. Like preheating the oven and whatnot. Welcome to dinner time talk on the Anachroschism.
Not confusing in the slightest.
Karash, as you approach the table with the couple that have sort of been glancing in your direction periodically, out of curiosity over the course of your eating, there are 2 male humans there. One with really dark hair and like full-on mutton chops, and one of them with kind of like dirty brown, like lightish brown hair, where he has just a full-on beard and wraps around as a mustache too. Gruff-looking folks, stereotypical lumberjack folks. And as you approach the table, one of them turns to the other and he says, "Oh, now see what you've done? He saw you looking over at him so many times. Look what you've done now."
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear him.
Okay.
I am Karash, and you are my new friends. And I'm going to put the beers down in front of both of them. And friends like to tell stories, yes?
This gets you some weird looks, not only from the two of them, but from a few other people at adjacent tables, just because of the loudness of your voice, the timbre of your voice.
But I'm positively charming about it.
Yes, and that's why it's a momentary look. Nobody's like, "Oh my God, you're so loud! I want him thrown out of the restaurant." It's just like, what in the world is this dragonborn? Oh, I was just buying him drinks. All right,
Waiter, that man over there is too loud.
My son is on the autistic spectrum, and
I can't eat this salad with all this noise.
So he, the one who was whispering, kind of brightens a little bit at this because he thought maybe you were going to be mad or whatever, and so they both look at the drinks. They seem pleased. They say, "Well, if it's stories you want, yeah, absolutely, we can provide stories. Have a seat."
I'm gonna pull out the chair and sit down. Please, I am new to your town. I wish to learn about whatever it is that you people do here. It is a wonderful town.
They both kind of look at each other, and the whispery one seems to be the most talkative of the two. Says, "Well, we do just about anything that needs to be done around these parts with logging. We cut them down. We make sure they grow back, because you can only cut down so many before you start to lose the long-term effects. So we chop them down, we cut them up, we make them into things. There's all sorts of folks who work here. We have people who spend a lot of time here, and people who don't even live here, and they come in on the train, work for the day, and then go home afterwards. It's honest work, and people who like working with their hands or like working outdoors, it's a pretty good fit for them."
And you like working with your hands? And I'm gonna look at him with the waiting for your name because you haven't given it to me yet.
And he nods. He actually extends his hand to you. Says, "Of course, it's rude of me. I'm Aaron, 1A. Just to save some time. This here's William, and I suppose it should be known." He shakes your hand.
Yeah.
He says, "William, is there something you want to say to the nice dragonborn?" And William, who's the mutton chop man, looks kind of sheepish. Says, "Well, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to stare or anything. It's just, you must kind of know it's rare to see your folks around most parts, and I just thought it was weird considering that we know a couple people who work around here who are like you."
They are dragonborn, or they are blue like me?
They are both.
What do you know their names?
Well, I know one of them is called Arvroth. I haven't really interacted with the other one. There's a whole bunch of workers. We're talking hundreds. But I know there's a second one that he's mentioned. I don't know that I remember his name. But Arvroth actually kind of works with us fairly often on projects. I know both of them have been here for a while. Couldn't tell you how long, but...
Do you know where Arvroth is staying?
Well, most of the workers have a house somewhere in the southwest part of town because they want to be close to where they work. I don't know where he lives specifically, but it should be somewhere around there.
Oh, the southwest part of town, that's not vague.
Well, when you go to the southwest part of town, you'll see why it's vague. You're in part of it, but...
Fair enough.
There's a lot of houses in that district.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of day workers here.
All right. When do you normally meet for working?
Well, most of us work about the same shifts. There's a few people who work at night depending on what the project is, but for the most part, it's kind of a 9-to-5 gig, and so we show up in the morning, we get a union-mandated lunch break, which is what we're on right now, and then we head out for the rest of the afternoon's work.
And where do you meet?
Oh, most of us meet just outside the sawmill. There's a place where you can sign in, pick up your equipment, store it.
And where is the sawmill?
He says, "Boy, you must be new to town if you haven't seen the sawmill." It doesn't mean it to be like, he's not looking down. It's just kind of like, yeah, if you lived here, you know where the sawmill is. It's pretty much due south of the center of town, a little bit west as well, but he kind of describes that to you as basically, it's on the southern end on the west side. Which makes sense if you were to pick the spot of the city that has the most trees in it, that's it. And it also extends pretty far south, deeper into the forest with more and more trees.